Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We are still working on getting our... Well, we're starting to work on getting our universities built up. We're still focusing on iron and tools. Although we're doing pretty well on tools, it turns out. Iron mines are still a little... Iron is still a little tight. I got iron... Yeah, I'm protecting domestic supply on iron, which is just fine. I think there's maybe a world in which I plan some additional iron expansions in the middle of all this, but I would really, really like for the private sector to handle that. I just feel that the private sector is really more ideally suited to that kind of thing. Because I gotta have iron for all this other stuff. Get started with these textile mills. I think I'm going to break up the textile mills. Just kind of intersperse them with the universities, make sure that they're slowly getting done, but that they're not being completed on an urgent basis. That's how I want to do it. I think I'll do every 4, same as I was doing with the tooling workshops and the iron mines. In the tooling workshops in the iron mines, not the tooling workshops and the iron mines. Is this right? No, this should be here. No, this should be here, actually. Again, I'm aware that interspersal is silly, but I like it. And I think maybe at that point, there'll be some space for doing a little bit more iron mine work. We got 3 more years on our... Or no, we got 1.25 more years on our little Huzimuwats that's over here. And we are slowly working on getting Napoleonic warfare. I'm actually... I think it may be necessary to build up... Arms industries are good. Let's keep converting our armies. I did this one, I did do that one. Yep. And upgrade those hussars as well. I haven't really been paying attention to the hussars. I'm just going to do all of them at this point. And the cost be damned. Ooh. Establish a university completed. Higher learning. The Emperor himself has officially opened the University of Shanxi. Academia is beginning to flourish in Great Qing. Philosophy is the highest calling of mankind. Through philosophy, we can come to understand the very foundations of metaphysics, the nature of the divine, the essence of virtue. It stands to reason, then, that only the most enlightened of wisdom seekers are fit to hold power. Society should be ruled by philosopher kings. Extra political strength of academics and university building throughput. That's very good. Modern institutions should employ modern methods. Extra progress on empiricism. Or formalize the medical profession. Extra progress on medical degrees. Normally I often go with innovation, but I actually think I'm going to get more innovation by doing the first one than by doing the others. So I'm going to hit this button here. I'm just going to slow her down a little bit. So how am I doing with iron? I'm mostly making up my shortfalls in imports rather than in extraction. So I think I'm going to focus on Shanxi, and we're going to build some more sets of iron mines, and we're going to build them in the last set of universities before the naval bases. Oop. Ah, that was really smart. I'm so smart. Again, why am I doing this interspersal thing? I forgot there was an upgrade all units button. Man, I'm so smart and good at video games. There we go. Alright, so how we're going to do this is we're just going to alternate between iron mines and universities during this stretch of the construction queue. And that's going to get us everything we could possibly desire. Perfect. And then we're going to finally do those naval bases. I have put myself a little bit low in cash flow right now, but that's okay. These things have been known to happen. I think once I've gotten a little bit more built up here, I may just go ahead and hit the on small arms button. And all of the small arms industries are in Beijing. We should definitely build those somewhere else. So, where's a good location? Shuzhou. You're saying you've got a place where they'll be profitable. What's this? Oh, it has qualifications. Well, qualifications are not that big of a deal. Shandong. Let's go with Shandong. That's the ideal location. And then we're going to need some artillery foundries as well. We'll build those in Shandong. So when do I want to build them in this queue? I think the answer is right after all this stuff. So the naval bases are going to have to go at the bottom again. Or are going to have to be delayed again. And we'll intersperse these just as long as we are playing around. Perfect. 4 and 4. Nice. The government is paying for a lot of construction, but I can always pause construction. Now the fragile unity thing, going into debt or taking loans. Okay, so I need to be careful with that. The play for power. Sonin Lilu, head of the Confucian Scholars, has made a remarkable play for power in the capital in order to secure a spot for the Confucian Scholars within the government. However, it's not entirely clear if they should be rewarded for their novel tactics. There's only one light in the street that leads to the Confucian Scholars' headquarters. There's also only one light on inside. There, Sonin Lilu relaxes among the sumptuous mahogany furniture and velvet cushions. The lap is identical to those that have been brought in from Europe and the Far East. The ends justify the means, and our means are very, very justified. It's difficult not to believe him when he offers an inviting seat by his side. He should be recognized. Stronger Confucian scholars are not all as fair in love and war. Weaker and saltier Confucian scholars. I'm going to go with the second one. I don't necessarily want stronger Confucian scholars. I want weaker scholar officials, but that's a whole other issue that I can't really make happen by myself. You know, the more I'm looking at this number and the more troubling that number becomes, I think I'm more tempted to build the iron first. The American model. Deeply impressed with the current state of the American Navy, key figures within the Qing armed forces have aligned with the Qing American League. In the many officer clubs of Beijing, the American Navy had long been respected and dreaded in equal measure. Looked to for inspiration and planned against in war games, it was not to be underestimated under any circumstances. As an adversary, it could spell ruin, but as an ally. We have much to learn from the American Navy, or the loyalties of the armed forces should lie with Great Qing alone. Extra morale loss and armed forces very unhappy. We have much to learn from the American Navy. Yeah, I'm happy with having a pro-American lobby. Relations with America are cordial. How about we have a defensive pact? No, not even a little bit. Alright, well, that's a shame, but it is what it is. We're very close to dealing with this opium situation. I'm almost wondering if I need to put the universities on hold. I think I do actually need to do that and be more aggressive about the iron mines. Because that's a money saver. I'll finish this textile mill in this university since the textile mill is close to being completed and the university is very well worked on. But the others will wait. Again, the fact that this number keeps going up and down is feeling kind of weird to me. Yeah, we got a small arms shortage. I know it. Happily, the private sector is building arms industries. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Think about canceling some of these arms industries. Just because I know that the private sector is building them, and I think the private sector takes into account what's in the queue when deciding what to build. So I think if you cut that stuff, if you cut construction, they'll be more motivated to build it themselves. Then again, the private sector is moving really, really slowly with its construction. And there is not much cash in that investment pool. There. Damn traditionalist economy. Maybe I'll build the arms industries sooner, and that will help things out. I do want the iron mines first, because I think the iron mines are more important in terms of keeping costs down, but the arms industries will be after. I want to have cannons. I want to have cannons for when the British come knocking. We're almost done with Napoleonic warfare, so I can have cannons at this stage. I think I need way more arms industries in this. And there's Napoleonic warfare, so that lets us get Lancers. I'm going to upgrade all units again. Those Lancers are going to cost me iron, but I don't have many of them. So hopefully it won't be that big of a deal. How much of my iron is coming from abroad? Quite a bit of it still. A lot of it from the British market. And some from the seeking Portuguese markets. Has Portugal successfully avoided becoming a puppet of Great Britain so far? They have. Well, that's delightful. Good for you, Portugal. You did it. Golden West Borneo. Heck yes. Defensive pact. Defensive pact. Defensive pact? No. Prussia doesn't even know we exist. Oop. I don't need to follow Austria on social media. Everything leads to an increase in expenditures. I think I might have built too much construction. I just need to be conscientious. Make sure that I don't overrun everything. We've got a few more iron mines. Maybe I'll pull back one of my decrees and throw on another consumption tax. I think that might be the way. So where are we? Where do we have resource industry? Hebei, Shanxi, Southern Manchuria, and Inner Mongolia. So Hebei, Shanxi. So Inner Mongolia doesn't actually have that many mines, so I'll cancel that. And we'll put a consumption tax on luxury furniture. That's the way. And if I need to do another one, then a shame, but it will be what it is. 4 months remaining. Portugal's damaging relations. Well, stop damaging relations. Lost a general. Let's see. You're an engineer and an aesthete. An authoritarian. You're a moderate and you're a moderate. I'll go with this guy because he's better. It's all scholar officials nerds all the time. Gosh darn it. Gosh. Actually going to build more arms industries here because this number is really shocking me. I actually think I'm feeling a strong temptation to reduce the size of the army. Let's take a quick look at our expenditures and see how things are looking. Oh, government wages are high. Well, that's part of... Well, there's your issue. Make government wages low. Make military wages... Well, military wages do actually have a moderate impact. Alright, well, I can sustainably spend 15k a week for a very long time. I could drop government wages to negative, but I don't need to do that. Obviously, I've lost a little bit of authority, but that's okay. That authority isn't costing me much. because that's just being spent on consumption taxes. Obviously, all this is what it is. Although, now that I look at it, I am a little short on bureaucracy. So let's go to Shandong for that as well. Plenty of infrastructure available here. I'm gonna build 4 levels. That should give me plenty of a buffer. One of the reasons that the China run has gotten a lot easier is because government admin builds way faster now. France has formed the coalition of states. That's interesting. And because your taxation capacity starts so low, you end up being in a little bit of a situation. You end up needing to build a lot of government admin, and it's genuinely a drain on time as China, because you've got to build so much of it. So let's look at the coalition of states. You're a military treaty, aggressive coordination. Interesting. We'll see what else you have to offer as time goes by. Come on. End my opium crisis. Do it! Do it! These government admins are not paying for themselves by any stretch of the imagination, but I do need bureaucracy for trade. Oh, Nalan Ning retires. Oh, he was the head of the armed forces, not the landowners. We've broken the Han dependence on opium through great perseverance. Not even the machinations of the great powers could prevent us from returning good health and prosperity. So Great Qing. Just as the opium fiend shall break his addiction and rise from the idler's bed, so shall our nation cast off the unwelcome yoke of foreign influence and rise as a sovereign state. No longer inundated with opium, our rivers shall flow with silver, and our people shall return to virtuous living. The sovereignty of Great Qing is absolute. Manchu and Han stopped being obsessed with opium, extra authority, influence, and legitimacy for 20 years. Oh, that's extremely strong. Or harmony shall return to Great Qing. The obsession with opium ends, and we get reduced mortality, increased rat, and a 25% rad bonus. Oh, I do love authority and legitimacy and influence, though. I'm going to go with the first one. And that's really going to help with our cash flow. Is this the right call? This does... No, this doesn't actually impact our authority. A little bit more on that. If I raise taxes, what does that do to my minimum expected standards of living? Let's wait for the week to dry out, and then we'll see if that changes anything. Okay, no, it puts them too high. Alright, so we'll drop that back to moderate. Yeah, no way I can be more efficient about this than I'm currently being. Goldfields depleted. The rich mineral deposits in North Heilongjiang have been drained. Mines are being shuttered, and all the prospectors who moved in are beginning to drift away in search of the next big strike. Alluvial gold dried up, miners go home. River dried up due to miner activity, shafts condemned as threat to life. Enter at your own peril. Trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. Unfortunate, minus 50% migration attraction, or we can't just let them leave, minus 20% migration attraction, 5% of labor pops become more radical. I'm actually going to go with the first one. That's fine with me. I don't need to worry about migration attraction as much. It was here. And we've got a little bit of infrastructure. We do have the ability to build ports here, or we should. So what we're going to do is we're going to queue in ports and gold mines as eventually purchases. Private sector is just building tobacco right now as I work on my arms industries. Let's get these government admins knocked out. Knocked out and finished. Real quick. Alright, and the Fragile Unity bar is looking good, and now there is no reason for the British to be selling me opium, because my pops are no longer opium obsessed. which is excellent. So we basically dodged the Opium Wars completely, and now we're building a modern army, and that's also very, very good. Cash flow is a little tight, but it could definitely be worse. Building these arms industries has definitely improved the situation. What kind of labor have we got available in Henan? Well, I don't want to build... I want to build where resources are plentiful. We do have labor available in Inner Mongolia, so this seems like a good place for another set of arms industries. Artejeu is improving relations. Excellent. So we'll build up this stuff. And then we'll build another round of arms industries. Because, again, this number needs to be... Ooh, they want groceries. Interesting. I could build food industries, but I think that's really something for the private sector to do. I think we'll rely on regular people to do that. I'm going to sell a lot of grain to Russia. It's going to be unproductive where it thinks it's going to be, but hear me out here. If I'm selling a lot of grain to Russia, that'll drive the price of grain up. And if I'm driving up the price of grain, that'll give me Yan corn laws. Obviously, this export route of guns is no longer useful. And I recognize the irony of talking about how little iron I've got when I've got so much, when I'm building up this massive arms industry, which of course is taking even more of my iron. I recognize that. I'm not immune to that. Oh, the Qing American League has offered us an opportunity to sign a trade agreement with the United States of America. The lobby has offered to use their connections to smooth the negotiating process. The negotiations, done under the table with a representative of the American government, have been long and arduous. The American representatives knew they were dealing with a group without the power to match theirs, and had adjusted their strategy accordingly. Nevertheless, they had come to an agreement. Nothing in writing, but that was hardly important. When the government sent the official copy, if they did, they would find that there was already a drafted response waiting in Washington. We would be happy to pursue this. This adds a lobby opportunity, or this is not in our interest. I'm going to say we're happy to pursue this. I would be delighted to have a trade agreement with the USA, and that might... form opportunities for us later down the line. Low trade volume. No trade routes between our markets. That's fine. Petitioners approach the government. Several prominent supporters within the peasant movement have approached the government with an ambitious petition to see through their agenda. The petition has been promoted as a necessary starting point amongst the movement's members. There were at least 100 signatures in the paper, some unintelligibly ornate, others generic names. The official would have to do some incredible feats of deduction to narrow down. This was the benefit of the petition. Past a certain point, it became infeasible to punish every signatory. If one person dissented, it would be easy to scoop them up, but when it was 1,000, things became more difficult. Permit debate on the raised issues, reduced enactment time for 2 years, stronger peasant movement, but reduced activism. The formal procedures of government must be upheld, reduce legitimacy. Confucian traditionalist movement gets weaker and increases activism. Or order investigation into this convenient list of names. Increased activism for the peasant movement. Weaker peasant movement and middle stardom pops in the country become more radical. I'll permit debate. Reduce enactment time is great. Anyways, building up all these arms industries is eventually going to reduce the price of guns, and over time, that's going to make our military expenses more affordable. They're going to build logging camps. Well, that's fine. I got to get working on these universities, though. I say as I queue the textile mills up before the universities. I'm queuing the textile mills in before the universities because I want to have a functioning investment pool. No, I want the arms industries first because those are actively contributing to the Those are actively increasing the price for the government. I think I might need to cut some military. No, I'm going to drop government wages. That's the sensible thing to do here. Yes, I know, a lot of people are going to be salty, but here's the thing. I don't care. I need the money. I need the money to grow the nation. I need the money to build stuff to grow the nation. I will admit, I went very, very ambitious on construction sectors early on here. And as you can see, my mass construction of arms industries is continuing to spike the price of iron. Which I really need to be producing more of, but which I am singularly continuing to not produce enough of. I don't know how Inner Mongolia is having a hard frickin' time with this. No, but we'll focus on Shanxi. And then eventually we'll build some universities. Universities are very important for the long term, but iron mines and arms industries are very important for the short term. Let's take a quick look at tech. We're producing 70 innovation right now, which is giving us a good progress towards army reserves. Which one is army reserves? This is the one that just... Okay, this is just a conscriptable battalions tech, so that's not that useful. I really don't want to reduce the size of the army. That's the one thing that I'm really trying to be conscientious about. Maybe I'll just do a small reduction. Maybe just all the armies that are... We'll just round off some. Again, it doesn't actually affect expenditures that much. Troops are very affordable in this period in history. It's only later on in the game they become more expensive. And again, the price of small arms is not actually going down because these industries are taking so long to get going. Let's take a look at them. Are they... Let me make sure that they're forming. There's army reserves. Beautiful. Because the ones in Inner Mongolia are having a hard time employing... I'm not sure why, because it's not like hardwood and... Maybe we build logging camps. Maybe that's the actual answer here. That'll drop the cost of hardwood in the state, and that'll be good. Okay, so America. What does your market have? What do you need? You need tea, and you need iron. You got some steel, though. And what do you have to sell? I could use some explosives. Not much else, but that is what it is. Can I export to America? Where's T? T is at the bottom. I can't because we don't have an interest. Alright, so that'll be something for the medium term. By ceasing to pay government workers, I've achieved a good balance of cash. So now I can continue to build continuously throughout the entire time period that we've got coming up, and that's going to be very good. I got mines and construction, I got textile mills going on after that, and then finally it's universities. Now that we're not as under threat, I think the artillery foundries I can put at the bottom of the queue, or at least further down. How is the paper situation? Paper is continuing to grow in price. People are buying our artillery. And we do have at least one artillery foundry operating somewhere in the country, or somewhere in the customs union, probably in Korea. They're always getting up to neat stuff down there. And we've gotten up to cordial with the British, which is pretty rock solid, actually. Because they don't have any desire to fight us anymore. Now what that means is we maybe have some opportunities to do a little conquering. Great Britain has expelled our diplomats. Never the fuck mind. Great Britain, why are you so freaking domineering? Hey, they're cooperative. That's very funny. They expelled our diplomats, and then we're immediately like, oh no, actually we do want to help. Nerds. Alright. I do have my own... where are we? I do have my own military shipyards, right? I have one. I have one military shipyard and is operating. Let's take a quick look into technology. Should probably end the episode soon. Yeah. But let's take a quick look into technology. Once we finish with general staff, it's going to be time to circle back to production and get all the stuff we need to get done. The path to being able to manufacture our own ammunition is through percussion cap and intensive agriculture. I think that's important. With that having been said, I don't think it's critical survival-wise. I think that Atmo Pump Engine is what we need next, because that's going to make our iron mines more productive. I think after that, we'll consider the possibilities. Mechanical tools is a very tempting option. Oh, we should finish out Lathe. I think Lathe is going to sort itself out, but in case it doesn't, we'll finish out Lathe. Because as long as Lathe isn't researched, we're going to have a slowdown with Atmo Pump Engine. After that, I'm considering doing mechanical tools. Mechanical tools will let us get steel tooling workshops and steel mills, which are both very effective. I think we can produce steel mills right now, but we don't have anything to use the steel on. Yeah. But this gets us both a better production method for paper mills and a better production method for steel for tooling workshops, and that's really useful. And I think after that, so I'm actually going to queue this in. After that, we'll consider. Anyway, that is all we've got time for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.